Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We do business for just about 30 minutes this morning. We will start from what's going on with the Naira, how it closed yesterday, and we can tell you that the Naira, well, it was mixed bag when we look at the NAFEX and the NAFEM. So we see for NAFEM, 1,635 Naira 15 kobo, lost 0.24%. I think that's about 3 Naira 94 kobo. That's what this is equal to. And then NAFEX was on the flip side, was a gain of 1.53%. But we know by now that, the major demand goes to NAFEM. That's where we have a more realistic number right there. Now, let's see what's happening with oil today. Prices fell $1. I can tell you more than 1% in some cases on Tuesday. So traders took profit from a rally in the previous session that lifted the market to its highest level in over a month, and fears that the Middle East war could be on the brink of a region-wide war, unfortunately. So looking at the numbers now, more than 1%, about $1.31 for Brent. That's what it lost, 1.6%. Hanging on to $79.62, while for WTI, the West Texas Intermediate Futures, also more than $1 was lost, $1.29. That's about 1.7% to stop at $75.85 right there. And of course, the regional conflict is a major driver of it at this time. Fighting in the region intensified after Iran backed Hezbollah, fired rocket at Israel's third largest city, Haifa, and Israel looked poised to expand its offensive into Lebanon 1 year after this attack, and it doesn't look like we're seeing an end to it, unfortunately. Still talking oil here, back here, Nigeria's Africa's biggest refinery, Dangote Oil Refinery, is due to take off 400,000 barrels per day of crude, Nigerian crude, and this month and in November, in the next 2 months, as it's increasing turns to local feedback. According to a report, the expected rollout of approximately 24 million barrels over the next 2 months follows the announcement by the federal government that it has commenced Naira for crude agreement with the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery. Latest crude allocation also indicates that Dangote has reduced its reliance on U.S. crude oil, having earlier imported millions of barrels of U.S. WTI. Just last month, Dangote Refinery reached an agreement with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited under the state-owned energy firm that will supply crude oil in exchange for becoming the sole distributor of gasoline that it introduced. Well, I guess it's also important to bring to the knowledge of our viewers at this time the issue of, importing crude. It seems from my conversation background with some experts in the line that this may be a necessity, and that is because mixing both our brands, which is of very high quality and of high price also, with crude like the WTI of another grade, which is cheaper. We always see the price right there, about $4, at least $4 cheaper than Brent, is a more economical way or mix for producing petrol or other petroleum products in the country. So perhaps when we do hear of refiners importing importing crude, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but a necessity to reduce costs of production. So we may have, since we do know that Dangote has imported a lot of WTI even before now, so with this 400,000 barrels per day that they're going to be supplied for 2 months, it may be a mixture of it. And I've been told by some experts that it is not necessarily a wrong thing or a bad thing for your devices which you will use. Now, away from that, the 8th edition of the World Investor Week is open, and it started in Lagos. The event is held globally from October 7 to 13, and it provides a platform to explore financial literacy, investor protection, sustainable finance, and digital finance. It's being hosted in Nigeria by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Nigeria's Security and Exchange Commission is joining its counterparts in the International Organization of Securities Commissions to celebrate World Investor Week 2024 with the theme Technology and Digital Finance, Crypto Assets and Sustainable Finance. The focus suggests new opportunities but also new risks.
In Nigeria, the rapid adoption of mobile technology and digital payments demonstrates the immense potential for growth in digital finance, and it is starting, and we think it's a revolution that will continue. As we embrace these innovations, SEC therefore assures the capital market, or wish to assure the capital market, that we will work assiduously with other regulators within Nigeria to adopt frameworks that will protect investors. Our desire is to ensure that technological advances are deployed responsibly and that the market participants understand the risks associated with digital finance, such as cybersecurity threats and data privacy issues.
Regulators, stakeholders, and the government would have to build a structure to accommodate the new products and risks.
As these themes evolve, digitization, asset tokenization, crypto, DeFi, decentralized finance, ESG securities, as these products and the interest for these from investors evolve, capital markets operators must stay at the forefront of innovating and developing products that are properly structured with investor protection in mind to deliver access to these investments in the capital markets.
There's a lot of acceptance and encouragement from the Lagos State government.
Our state has always embraced forward-thinking solutions to foster economic growth, drive financial inclusion, and create wealth. If there's anywhere to explore new ideas, to experiment, then Lagos will be that place.
As part of this year's celebration, the Securities and Exchange Commission has promised to conduct investor clinics in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt for the period of the celebration. That's it, it's still on, so perhaps you want to get more informed as an investor in Nigeria. Now let's talk about those issues, especially Dangote, PMS, very hot issues. And we're doing that with Dumebi Oluwole, a senior associate with financial derivatives company. Hi Dumebi, been a while, good to see you.
Yes, it has. Good morning, good to see you too, Amy.
So you come with good news. Dangote is going to be getting 400,000 barrels per day crude from NNPCL. Does this mean security for us, at least for PMS, which seems to be the most basic and needed petroleum product in the country?
Yeah, to an extent, yes, it does. What this will do for the Dangote refineries, to an extent, reduce their costs. Because this is not going to be given to them in US dollars, so they will be getting
but it's in Naira, but it's still in the predominant exchange rate. It's not like there's anybody subsidizing anything. Yes,
but the important thing here is, number one, when you consider the shipping cost from bringing it overseas into Nigeria, that cost is significantly reduced. There's also the exchange rate impact of, for instance, getting it at 1,580 Naira to a dollar, just using that example now, compared to a blended rate of 1,700 and then 1,580, that to an extent reduces the exchange rate margin as well that the Dangote refinery would have incurred on getting the crude, externally or importing it. So what this does to an extent, it just shields them from external shocks that could have affected their cost of production, also from the exchange rate as well. The important thing here is that, number one, Dangote now has access to crude on a sustainable basis that would allow them.
For 2 months.
Well, this is 2 months of production compared to what we were getting, what they were getting earlier, which was almost nothing, right? So this is a crucial point, and the expectation is that this will be sustained.
But this doesn't translate to cheaper petrol at the pump.
To an extent, yes. So the reason why we're saying, well, I was going to get there, but basically what this means is that they're able to produce sustainably. At least their production will continue, and they'll continue to supply. And the other aspect, or the other domino to also consider now, is that other independent marketers will now also have access to get petroleum from the Dangote refinery. Even though it doesn't translate to cheaper prices for now, simply because we're in a new exchange rate regime. Production is just coming up. Dangote will obviously have to recoup its costs, and then there's also a significant change in petroleum prices. It doesn't necessarily mean that prices are going to drop significantly, but what it does mean is that the price differentiation margin between what NNPC will be selling and what other independent markets will be selling will narrow. So for instance, we have at the pump price for NNPC going about 867 to in some places you have 900, but in other independent markets you see some sellers even going for as high as 1,000 naira per liter. So that margin will be breached to an extent because now they're getting from the Dangote refinery, and this doesn't mean
goodbye to subsidy.
Well, to an extent, yes, it does mean goodbye to subsidy.
Because
but again,
if the
what is happening
going
now?
To be getting direct from Dangote, I don't think there's a government intervention there. Perhaps there's a government intervention when the NNPC gets from Dangote.
Yes, because when you think of it, like any normal business that has like a large wholesaler coming to buy from them, and you have other smaller retailers and other smaller sellers coming to buy from them. So what it means is that the NNPC most likely would get at a discount rate because they are going to purchase a lot more, and which is normal. It happens in a lot of businesses. While other independent marketers might not be able to get at that same discounted price. So that's why I said, in terms of pricing, the price differentiation will be there, but the margin will narrow. It doesn't necessarily mean that price of petrol is going to significantly come down. What it does mean for consumers is that there will be supply at the pumps for people to actually get crude. In essence, we should not be seeing significant queues at filling stations.
Except at NNPC, because everybody wants something cheaper.
Will want to get, exactly. Of course, and that's normal.
But there's also the fear of monopoly. That was also one of the issues around, because if everybody is going to Dangote now, I'm thinking of the infrastructure, the logistics, to get it from Dangote to the whole of Nigeria. Doesn't that pose another kind of risk?
Yes, it does. So the logistics issue, which is extremely important to at least make sure that the price is actually sustainable. And what this definitely calls for is an increase in investments towards infrastructure leading up to the Dangote refinery, and ensuring that also the transportation of petroleum from the Dangote refinery to other states, or even in Lagos alone, that infrastructure is also built. And we do know that there's a lot of pipes, and even like the rail station. This lies on the government. There's no other definition, so there's no other answer to it. So there is that call for that to happen. Then in terms of the monopoly risk, there is that risk as well, because if everybody is buying from one person, it does mean that there's one buyer and many sellers, and that risk is definitely there. And what this also calls for is an increased investment or increased timeline for the government to ensure that their other refineries are also working. All the defunct modular refineries, the Port Harcourt refinery, the investments that have been pumped into those resources need to start benefiting the entire economy, so that marketers have diverse suppliers that they can get petroleum resources from.
What does this mean to commodities prices?
So for now, what this means is that commodities prices relatively might not necessarily change, because there is that pass-through effect and the time lag between when independent marketers will get those resources and when it begins to translate to reduced logistics costs, and then reduced transportation costs, and then reduced commodity prices. So the pass-through effect is definitely going to take a while. So if this is happening for 2 months,
it will take a while.
Well, we've always seen that price stickiness with Nigerian economy. It is, and to be very fair, it's not something that is very far-fetched when you look at other developing markets. That price transmission mechanism is always very interesting to watch, where when there's an increase in cost, prices increase significantly, and when there's a decline in cost, it takes a longer time. Yes, and the lag we've seen, at least from the IMF estimates and even from our own estimates, we've seen that the time lag between when prices decline and when they eventually translate to lower prices are about 3 to 6 months, in some extent 6 to 12 months.
And anything can happen at that time.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But by just looking at it on face value, these are the initial implications that we do expect.
All right, maybe we'll have to stop there. Thank you so much for your time. Hope to see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll take this conversation further.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. Let's take a break now. When we come back, well, all of this boils down to who's doing business. Perhaps we need more entrepreneurs in the country. Can we afford more entrepreneurs? We'll have that conversation after the break. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Still Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We're talking about how to make entrepreneurs now to boost economic activities in our real sector. And we're having that conversation with an entrepreneur himself. He is Engineer Nnamdi Unachukwu. He's an entrepreneur. He's also the senior consultant and founder of Business Matters Incubators Finishing School. Joins us right here in the studio. Engineer Nnamdi, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Thank you, Ini. Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
Yeah, so we're talking of having more entrepreneurs in Nigeria to boost activities in the real sector, the non-oil sector and all of that. But shouldn't we begin with not policies now, but implementation of policies that will encourage more people? Because we're talking of taxation, that's on the one hand. We're talking of infrastructure, that's on the one hand. We just talked about energy, security in the country. These are things that entrepreneurs will need, which seem difficult to access at this time in the country.
Yeah, thank you for that. When you talk about entrepreneurship as a subject, it has helped so much in developed economics and like our own economy here. We are talking about just post-independence, but we don't have economic independence. So it's an entrepreneurs that can just help the country to emerge when it comes to economic independence. And when you talk about what is happening right now and our economy, the state of our economy, you discover that most of the approach, past government, current government, has always been, a kind of a short-term approach. What do we do to encourage more entrepreneurs, give money to graduating students, and then see how they can do things, and afterward, they will just blow it up. But what I would advise is that government will look at mid to long term, 10 years down the line. The entrepreneurs should emerge, more entrepreneurs should emerge, and we need to catch them young. You need to go down to primary school, junior secondary school, begin to inculcate in them the mindset of an entrepreneur. And of course, when we talk about entrepreneurs, who are they? Entrepreneurs are the innovators, problem solvers, who will come into an economy and bring in dynamism and diversity in the business landscape. So these are the job of entrepreneurs. So we need more now, and they are the drivers of the economy. So Nigeria should look at the long term, because when you
that's why I started by asking. We have policies on paper. We have PEBEC, overseeing ease of doing business.
Yes.
Now we have the time where you're dealing with the proposed reforms to make the tax environment more transparent, and friendly. We're talking of infrastructure. People want to go into business, and then they have to spend so much on energy. So are these not the things we should look at? I mean, in some countries, you want to register your business, even though now I think to an extent we've dealt with that. You sit down in your room and then you register your business in a couple of minutes. Shouldn't these be the things that should be catered for if we want more people to get into the entrepreneurial landscape?
Okay, remember what I said, talking about the policies and implementations. There are good policies. And today, CAC, you can be in the comfort of your home, also register companies. And there are other, initiatives that government of the day is promoting to encourage entrepreneurship. But like it's a systemic issue. Over the time, over the period, things has gone so bad, and it requires a lot of rejig. And that's what I think the government is doing, bringing on more policies, to overtake the ones that have been existing that, became dormant at some point. But it's a holistic thing. When you talk about infrastructure, also you look at the other end, which is finance. How do I encourage entrepreneurs? Most of them get there when you're trying to contain the inflationary rate. The money policymakers and the monetary policymakers are now bringing up so many, stuff that could help them monitor or control inflation. That affects the entrepreneur. And that's why most of them are just pulling out, because you couldn't just take a loan today for 25%, and tomorrow you are paying at 40%, something you didn't plan for. So the whole economic environment is hostile to entrepreneurs. It's discouraging. But I believe the government is working towards it because that's the best we can do. But what I insist on is that we need more entrepreneurs. The more entrepreneurs I'm talking about is not those who will run away when it is tough. The real entrepreneurs, they persist. They remain there because you have developed that mindset of resilience, believing that this tough time does not last. You are going to get it better, down the line. But if you see people who just come in, they always jump out. So the real entrepreneurs always create a mindset. It's a real mindset. And that's why I keep promoting, why don't we push it to the young and begin now at cradle, while they are still young and forming their mind, to create this entrepreneurial mindset in them. So that when they come out, they will have these intentions and, help Nigeria to build. That's exactly the way I think
that begs the question, are entrepreneurs born or made?
The entrepreneurs are made. I can't say it anywhere because anything you can teach in life, the children of today, they are laden with a lot of talent. The only reason why those talents die down is because nobody to mentor them, nobody to coach them, nobody to teach them what to do. So if we go down, and meet them while they are still forming their mindset and be able to push in this entrepreneurial mindset in them, they grow with it. And there's nothing like entrepreneurs are made anywhere. Look at sports, the real professionals are the ones that started at age 8, 9, they're professionals. Look at music, those who started from church choirs, young, they're doing well today. So having seen what entrepreneurship can do to this economy, we should pay more attention to entrepreneurs. We should pay more attention to that as a project.
And are you suggesting a rejig to our curriculum in school?
Definitely. That's where I'm just looking at. We need more sophisticated curriculum or curricula for secondary school and primary. Today they talk about entrepreneurship at the university level. At the university level, most of those youth are already thinking of how to make it big. The entrepreneur starts small and look at, monitor the journey and then follow it up. Now, what we're looking at now, what I'm kind of advising is that we look at our curriculum and tweak some things there. It's almost outdated, it's over 30 years and we're still using it. But if you look at what is happening in other world, like the developing, like the EU, are encouraging their schools to bring in entrepreneurship in their curriculum. Even Rwanda here, they started implementing that almost 10 years now, about 2012. So Nigeria, we don't have any excuse. We need to do something about it. Now, you get them through the system, the education. That's where the children will begin to. And not just entrepreneurship, just letters or, all those grammar. It's practical, hands-on. You talk about, vocational education, rapid with entrepreneurship, craft, rapid with entrepreneurship. So that if the child comes out and the child knows how to do painting or knows how to do tiling, they will bring innovation in it because that's the job of an entrepreneur, to bring innovation, to do it the better way. It helps the society, it promotes, lifestyle. It helps entire landscape, like what we call about the socio-economic good of the nation. That's what entrepreneurs do, any day, anytime.
All right, I hear you. Entrepreneurs are not born, they are made. Anybody can be an entrepreneur.
Anybody, even you.
Even myself, yeah.
But it's becoming too late for you to learn. It's becoming more of a professional.
I have the heart of a child, so I can always learn.
Oh, why not? You are good for it. You are good. But you need to go back to primary school and start
my
learning.
word.
Because step by step.
Okay.
It takes a lot.
I'll leave it to my children then.
Of course, you need to encourage them. Yeah. So what we're begging is for the school owners, the stakeholders, the parents, the policy makers, on education, to think of how to bring in entrepreneurship. I can tell you that they are working on it because I have consulted to one or two, parastatals, and they are surely looking at it. Like UBEC is looking at it. They have what they call school to work. So I've met them and said, let's roll it out. But they are waiting for it to be perfect. But now when you bring entrepreneurship training around it, you roll immediately. What we're doing with Lagos State, we started what they call pilot scheme. Because my organization, we we have a methodology. We develop a methodology called the 6 Sense to approach entrepreneurship training.
I guess you also have to convince the parents too.
Yeah, the parents
to embrace it.
Begin to act. And there's a job for parents, how to, avail their tacit knowledge on their young by, making sure they come back. Instead of doing all those numeracy grammar only as homework, you now have entrepreneurship as homework, telling them how to do things.
All right, Engineer Nnamdi Unachiku, an entrepreneur. I'm calling parents to bring in their children as entrepreneurs, or train them as entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for your time and wish you the best. I know it to be for the good of the whole nation and the economy.
Thank you, Ini, and thank you, viewers.
Yeah. All right, now just before we head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio, let's see how the market closed yesterday. Well, good thing is it closed in the positive, retaining, that gain that it had intraday, but we are not yet at 98,000, still at 97, close at 97,706.70. The market gained over 107 billion naira, a good one. We are back on the 56 trillion naira for the market cap. Activity chart was mostly green. Banking was down, however, consumer goods and all of that. Top trades were the unusual ones, tantalizers, UBA. But we saw that in oil and gas, major move. MTN moved the market yesterday, but we saw O&O and Seplat again back as major movers of their counter. So that's the much we can take. I'll be back at 1 p.m. with Ladi Williams, where we'll take you around the world of business in 55 minutes. You get intraday numbers and a whole lot of gist from the world of business. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio.